Welcome to the intersection of Tomahawk Madness and Behind Closed Doors with Vera Tiani again, talking about mind-body connections. Um, so I'd like to start out, Vera, and share with you an experience I had. It was very informative about mind-body stuff. And there's a woman who I treated, she had an arm that had been cut off in a factory accident, and was cut off almost to the shoulder. And she came to me because she was having pain in her phantom hand. The fist was clenched, and she could feel the fingernails digging into her hand, and she wanted to get rid of her pain. I just happened to know what to do because I'd seen Dr. Ramachandran deal with the same kind of thing before, and there was a chance for me to give it a try.
Who's this doctor?
His name is Ramachandran, and he works with phantom pain, phantom limb pain, and phantom limb stuff. And he'd actually treated a person with that clenched fist, which is apparently relatively common for folks that lose arms.
Yes.
And so what I did, following his directions, is I made her a box. Went home, got a cardboard box, cut the holes out on the side, put a mirror in the middle of the box. Okay, now it was her left arm that was gone. Then I had her put her right arm in, and then I had her put her phantom limb that wasn't there, but to her it was, because the phantom limb is still in her brain. All the nerves and neurology are still in her brain. The limb is just gone. So I can still talk to the limb in her brain, I just can't deal with the limb on her body. So I had her put the phantom limb in the box, and then
And the mirror is pointing toward
the mirror is facing the right arm. Okay.
the good arm.
The good arm.
Okay.
That's right. So when she looks in the box and she looks in the mirror and her hand is in there, she sees two fists rather than one. And then I have her open her hand. I tell her open that right hand, and she very slowly opens it, and she sees in the mirror her left hand open. And as she sees it, the left hand and her phantom limb is opening also, and the pain is gone almost immediately. Only she opened it very slowly, which was very interesting because
That's not what you expected.
that's not what I expected. And I had a hand injury and lost the tendons to these three fingers in my right hand, and was in a cast for almost 6 months. So my fingers were locked. And I had to open my fingers up, and it's one of the most excruciatingly painful things I ever went through. And believe me, I opened them very slowly. The physical therapist grabbed it and opened it faster, but I was interested in slow. So when I asked her afterwards, why did you open your hand so slow? She said, because it was so stiff.
Oh.
How can
Been
a
a long
phantom, yes, how can a phantom limb be stiff? Well,
been
I
in this
know because I
position.
had one that was stiff. And that's what she was talking about. Now,
Yeah.
I ask you a question. Am I a witch? Is Dr. Ramachandran a witch? Because there are people that would look at that and say, no, you can't do that. That's the work of the devil. And yet, it's not the work of the devil, it's the work of a neurologist. I happened to learn from a neurologist how to do it, and it became now the work of a psychologist. And it was wonderful. What I did was sent her home with a box. I said, you don't need me anymore, just take the box.
So I'm curious about that particular piece.
Yeah.
So did she need to repeat that experiment? Or did the pain go away all altogether?
The pain
Or
went
did she
away
have to
altogether at the time. I'm assuming she never came back.
Oh.
I sent her home with the box. My assumption is she didn't need me anymore.
Okay.
Anytime she wanted, she knew what to do, and she could relieve it.
Self-medication.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I actually wish I would have followed up and found out, but when you're fixed, you're fixed. You don't
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
And I know you've done guided imagery. We've talked about guided imagery for your cancer before, and you've been 18 years in stage 4 cancer and have used guided imagery to heal a lot of things. Can you kind of give us a summary of what you've used the guided imagery for and how it's worked over the years? And we're not going to work on the assumption that this is the work of the devil. We're going to work on the assumption
I
that
don't believe that it is.
No, yes, and yes. Yeah, no, to me, God helps those who help themselves, and you know, we call on God to heal us. You know, why not use all of the mind we can to make that happen? Yeah.
Well, I think I started using guided imagery quite quickly in my cancer, after my cancer diagnosis.
The first one in 82?
1983
83?
was my first, 2000 stage 4 then, and then 2004, 2014 again, it's stage 4 in a different area. But for each occurrence, my immediate concern was I wanted to be a co-creator in my healing. And so the first thought I had...
An ally of God.
An ally.
A co-creator. Yes, yeah.
But fear, there's the fear element. And so I needed to deal with the fear element. And so part of my first images had to do with dealing with that fear, because I knew that the fear was causing me pain.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was certain, in fact, that I had a recurrence that was going to be very significant. I knew this was happening. I knew this had metastasized, and I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So, just as an aside of how the brain works. Yeah. So I was in a lot of pain, just about immobile, in bed. My poor husband's having to deal with me waking up in the middle of the night saying goodbye. I'm saying goodbye to him because I'm thinking I'm gone. So I'm waiting for my results, my CAT scan results.
Yeah.
They come back at that point. Perfect. Okay. I go home and I have no pain. And I was like, what just happened here? I've been in pain for 2 weeks waiting for the doctor's appointment, waiting for these results, and was in horrible pain because I had convinced myself that the cancer has returned and I'm doomed and da-da-da. And as soon as I get all clear, I get it. I have no pain. Mm-hmm. What is this about? Yeah. So, that continues to reinforce for me that dealing with pain has more to do with
the brain.
Here.
Yeah. Yes,
and how do I deal with that successfully? And guided imagery is just an amazing tool that all of us have at our disposal. Right. There's lots of books, lots of tapes out there.
Right.
And so using our mind-body connection to deal with pain, and I believe can help. I mean, I'm stage 4 since 2000. Mm-hmm. My prognosis was not very good when it's in the bone. This is 18 years later. I'm still alive. Yeah. I feel like the best tool in my toolkit has been guided imagery. Yeah. Not that I don't do traditional, because I do. Mm-hmm. But I consider that a complementary approach. Yeah. But I also go to the traditional doctors, the oncologists, radiologists, and then my next big tool is guided imagery, the mind-body.
My best friend, John Annebacher, who was a senator up in Michigan, for the Michigan Senate, had a remarkable healing experience also. He went into heart surgery, and they were dealing with his aorta, and they closed him back up again and sent him home to die. Uh-huh. And this is the mid-1990s. Right. And he didn't go home to die. Instead of going home to die, he went home to sail around the world, and has since sailed across the ocean 7 times with his 2 kids and his wife. Because, and I think the thing that you and him have in common is this sense that you weren't sent home to die; you were sent home to live. Yes. And I think if you're sent home to die and you believe you're going to die, you die.
You're in a fetal position. It's all over.
And, that when you come home to live, and the body goes along with you. I mean, the mind-body connection. To me, when I think of my body, and I think if you took a saw and chopped off the top of my head and grabbed my brain and pulled me inside out all the way down to my toes, you would see my nervous system. It's not a brain, it's a nervous system. They're all connected, and all of the systems of the body are connected. So you pull me and turn me inside out, you can see every connection, and it's not dissimilar to me from the astronauts being able to see the Earth and to see the interconnectedness of all of the Earth from that vantage point. That vantage point makes a difference.
Well, I have a good friend who is a neurosurgeon, and top of the heap, and she herself got very ill. And surgeons and MDs really don't use guided imagery. They feel that their profession would laugh at them. They would be put out of business. Yes. They have that mindset.
Yes.
But I have to say, when she got to a point when she thought that perhaps she wasn't going to survive, I was called and asked about guided imagery, and I was able to give her some tools. But it took that, that sort of path that she had to get to a point where there was nothing else she could do.
Yes.
But I think it's just a shame that should be in every physician's toolbox.
That's right.
How could it hurt? That's what I say to them.
Yes.
I've said to the physician, I will provide the CD player and the CDs so that people, when they sit to have their infusions, can be listening to these healing images. And again, we're talking about traditional and complementary. And shut down.
Traditional wins and complementary get shut down.
Shut down. No, there's no proof. I said, what is it going to hurt? Even if you don't believe. I believe there is plenty of proof out there. I've taken lots of workshops, read lots of books and lots of experiments.
And in my 40 years of experience, I over and over and over again, I deal with the belief system that people bring in. I don't impose my belief system on them. It's their belief system that I'm working with. But if there's ways we can nudge that belief system, it makes all the difference in the world in their healing.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, if they're listening to a tape, just listen to it while you're just sitting there and see if there's something. For example, I love water, and one of the tapes, the relaxation tapes, takes you down, down, down into the depth, and for me that feels glorious.
I can see you feel it as you talk about it.
Yes, but for people that are afraid of the water,
that's right.
That is not going to be a good image. So we have to create an image that works specifically for that person. So there's a lot of really good information out there on guided imaging. I have to say, there's a lot of garbage as well. A lot of garbage tapes, because people have found, they want to experiment
How do you tell the garbage from the good stuff?
Boy, that's a good question.
Yeah, tough one.
That is a good, because what I look at is who is this person that's making this tape, first of all, and I've taken a lot of workshops from, I don't know if we want to say names of folks now, but
names are okay, especially if they're good.
Bella Ruth Napperstack is incredible. Her tapes in California, and I don't know how recently, if that's currently the case, but they have found that it significantly has shortened the stays in the hospital. So insurance started covering. There you go. That's the trigger.
That's the trigger. Get where they can save some money.
And
all of a sudden they're believers.
And they started paying for her tapes to be given to patients in the hospital. So Bella Ruth is amazing, and there's a lot of good ones out there. Most of them have been MDs. They have a history, but there's a lot of people that sort of just jumped on the bandwagon, and they're silly little tapes that just don't amount to anything. But she's done her research, and so Bella Ruth is absolutely my absolute favorite, and she's written lots of books on guided imagery as well.
How do you deal with the folks that see it as being contradictory to God? That's such a strange belief system to me, and I'm raised Catholic.
I was too. 12 years of catechism.
No love and serve God in this world and in the next.
Well, I taught guided imagery at a local college, And my very first class that I taught, I had a nun sit in with me because I expected a backlash.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was very surprised that these people were very, very much interested in knowing about
And open
guided
to it.
imagery. They were very open. In fact,
Yeah.
the nun said, "Really, I don't need to be here. They're here because they want to know. They're not here to challenge me and say,
Yeah.
this is the work of the devil." Because,
Yeah.
how is it different than them praying? The fundamental.
Yes,
How is that different? We pray
Yes,
for people that are sick. Can't we pray for ourselves?
Yes, and we believe in divine intervention.
Yes.
And, why can't divine intervention come through us? It's not us,
Right.
but we are the vehicles, the conduits of that healing process. I think at least we can be.
Well, and I also believe in that whole process that when you're with somebody that has good energy, that's kind of a back and forth. And I sense more than ever when I had my diagnosis of cancer, that I was so aware when I was with people that were draining my energy.
Yeah.
I had to let those people go in my world.
Yeah.
They were draining me.
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening. I just know when they left, I don't feel so good. When you leave, I'm charged up. I think, that, and what is that? That's all about, that's energy that we can't really feel. We're sitting, there's TV behind you. I don't know how that picture gets in here.
Yeah.
But we got a little teeny dish on top of our house, and somehow it's pulling in these invisible rays.
That's not guided imagery, that's commercial imagery.
Well, that's not the work of the devil, though, Yeah, so I like to think of myself as being, there's a puppy here. There's a puppy. Now there we know we have therapy dogs
Yes.
that can be really good energy.
Yes,
can help with pain
and
management.
Lacey is filled with good energy.
Yes.
Hey, it's been a pleasure talking with Vera Tiani about energy today. Thanks. Thank you again, Vera. Appreciate it.